Hello, welcome to Real True Facts, a podcast about real true facts, because just because you hear about it or read about it doesn't mean it's true. We are your hosts. Who's with me? Roger, can you hear me from the bunker?
Yes, my name's Roger Corman. Not that Roger Corman. I'm just having a little trouble with my satellite feed. I think I'm good now, though.
That's okay. That's okay. We know you're in a very undisclosed location today, but thank you for joining me on our Maiden Voyage podcast. I know it's going to be kind of difficult for you to join us every week, but thank you. And I appreciate that. So with me is Roger Corman, and I am Diane Keaton. Not that one. So we are going to bring you the realest, truest facts every week. We are going to try and prove them, which we don't really need to do because they're already true, but we're going to give it a shot anyway.
Yes, our main purpose here is to bring you the truth. There's so much fiction out in the world. We're going to bring the truth to you. That's why we started this podcast. We thought it was really important, especially in these times, to give people an outlet for the truth, backed up by truth and science.
Yes.
And facts.
Science.
So that's
facts.
Right, science and facts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I know it sounds like I'm saying FAX, but it's facts with a TS. So just
a C and a T and an S. Right. So we don't use fax machines or teletype.
Not anymore.
So just no.
But after the accident,
as far as our listeners know, we do not. So we have a pretty good show, to get things kicked off here. I'm excited.
I am very excited about the show.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about birds.
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
not just bird watching or silly stuff like that. We're going to touch on the darker side of surveillance, which we all know we're being surveilled one way or another. Unfortunately, birds. We'll get into that. That's our main main event for this evening or afternoon or morning, depending on where you're located.
Depending. I mean, and this is dark web stuff, everybody. This is about birds, specifically that there is a movement spreading now saying that birds are not real. Birds have never been real. They are government surveillance drones, and we are here to prove that today. So So we're here to back it up because we can say it's true all day long because it is, but now we'll have to inform you. But first, I'd like to kind of go around the world a little bit to cover some headlines. News.
Facts.
Today.
Truth.
Headlines.
Information.
Let's get into it.
We all know of the devastating Fen treasure, and it has finally claimed its fifth victim.
Again?
Yeah. That was in Colorado, and Michael Wayne Sexton, an unnamed companion, reportedly traveled from Denver to the state's Dinosaur National Monument last week with the hopes of locating the cache of riches said to have been hidden somewhere in the American Southwest.
Yeah.
Eccentric author Forrest Fenn back in 2010. And as we all know, they die. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's treasure. Treasure's always cursed.
Yeah. I don't know. People still think they're going to get money for free, but that's cursed treasure, folks. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, this isn't City Slickers. You don't find Curly's gold at the end of it.
Right. And remember, Curly died in the second one or third? He died. So someone's going to die.
Someone's going to die.
So be prepared for that if you want the money.
Especially if the treasure's named after you.
Well, yeah. Don't name treasures after yourself because you're just asking for it.
Yeah, you're asking for it.
And then did you UFO sightings everywhere?
Naturally.
even more now, a pilot, so that, pilots are honest. So this is good information. Saw an UFO over Mexico, and reporting it was a Tic Tac shape.
Real size, like true to size, or big?
I believe it was a Tic Tac shape and not a Tic Tac size, but I'd have to double check here. Yeah, because they have saucers, there are
Right.
Tic Tacs, there are rabbit shaped UFOs and various others. But what makes this even more interesting is that sighting occurred while orbs appeared over Washington State and Russia.
Well, you know what orbs are.
Three-dimensional circles.
I was going to say ghosts, but yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, definitely. When we see them down here, they're usually in anti-corporeal vaporous forms. So that's a good point.
This might just be the natural order of things resetting itself, but since we're talking about birds today, I saw in the news that a herd of goats has invaded Wales, and that there's coyotes descending upon San Francisco, and pretty much just rats everywhere.
Right,
so
right. Animals, yep. Animals in nature want their land back. They want their world back. They want it back.
They want it back, and we're on borrowed time. This is borrowed land. We're just camping here, and they've been waiting, and now they're coming back because we have been sheltered in place. Now we've got herds of goats just coming into town, coyotes. They're going shopping. They're looking for food. They're everywhere. So we're all staying home to prevent the spread of coronavirus. Everyone's talking about it, but these animals are coming down. Normally, they would not come down because of the presence of people, but because we are gone, here they are. So I want to know, what are they doing? What do they want? It's
right. The problem is we gave them this opportunity to band together. So now they're in cahoots. Animals that normally wouldn't ever, join forces. Now that humans are out of the picture for the moment, we're seeing them join together and be even more dangerous and invasive than they were before. So I fully expect to see a human versus animal war in the upcoming months. Keep an eye on that.
Let me just I'm going to call up the lab real fast. I'm hacking.
You have the loudest phone.
I'm hacking the internet right now.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. You have to get through the encryption before you make that phone call.
Okay, I'm through. We do have access to a lab. We have our resident Real True Facts real life doctor with us. I just hacked the internet to bring him here.
You're bringing on Dr. Semore.
This is Dr. Semore. He's coming to us from his undisclosed bunker somewhere in the world.
Yeah, I don't know where he is because he doesn't want me showing up at his, I don't know if it's a doorstep since it's a bunker, but showing up at, his portcullis, trying to
you definitely
get, some special rations or science supplies.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. But he is here with us today. He's going to talk with us about bird drones. Are birds government surveillance drones? We say yes. We're here to prove that. So why don't we go ahead and welcome Dr. Semore up from the underground bunker, from the lab to the Real True Facts studio. Dr. Semore, thank you.
Are you with us, Dr. Semore?
Yes, I'm here. Hey, hello, Roger. Hello, Diane.
Hi.
How are we doing this evening?
We're good. We're good.
Morning.
I'm pretty good, aside from all this devastating animal news. We have all these animals banding together in animal ways, and now we discover for some of these people out there, this is the first time they're going to hear about hear the troubling news that birds are, we love them, but they're just, unfortunately, they're just not real.
Yes, it's been a major area of my research. I have my PhD in avian evolution from the University of British Columbia, as well as a master's of electrical engineering from Case Eastern.
They have a good program there.
Those two really kind of brought together the culmination of my PhD research and thesis was starting to crack this egg, if you will, of the reality of birds.
Right. So, I mean, birds aren't real. So, I mean, the first time I heard about this, obviously I heard about it before most other people because I'm enlightened.
Yeah.
But when did you, or when and how did you find out about something so shocking?
This is a government project that's over 50 years in development, but it really wasn't. It didn't come out even to those of us in the know until sometime between, let's see, boy bands were really popular. So sometime around 2000, we'll say 2000 to 2004 is when the details started forthcoming.
The bubble popped, right?
Yes.
Diane, when did you find out? When did you find out about this? Because I know I had a hard time dealing with this.
Yeah,
personally,
I'm going to have to agree with our doctor here. The first time I heard about it had to have been in 2000 because I got frostbite that year. I got frostbite because I was waiting in line for NSYNC tickets. So that's really funny you mentioned boy bands. That's sort of like when they were popular. I was waiting in line for NSYNC tickets and I got frostbite because I was there for hours. And they did this really bogus thing where they had us all get into this raffle and I was first in line and then we did a raffle and I ended up being last in line. And I remember this girl just she was standing next to me.
Okay, Diane, yes. Tickets and NSYNC. Maybe we'll have a spin-off podcast that involves
no, but this is really important. This is a really important fact because this girl was standing next to me and she said, "Man, this is really bogus that they did this. Did you know that birds aren't real?" And
I didn't know you were going to tie that. I thought maybe she just got tickets before you or something.
She did, but that was irrelevant because it changed my life that day. And as I was laying in my sleeping bag in the living room trying to warm my feet up, I thought about that. And actually, it's so funny you brought that up today, 2000, because I'm a person of science as well. I don't have my degree per se. It's more of like an emotional degree that I have in this stuff. But because
real life experience.
When you're a student, student of the world,
hard knocks, folks.
Yeah, I'm gonna
the hardest knocks.
The hardest of them. I mean, that's where you cut your teeth. That's where you earn it. And I don't need to tell you what it is, but that's what it is. So I decided to do some research of my own. I wanted to beef this argument up a little bit. I actually reached out to another Real True Facts expert. This is an animal expert. She goes by Critter Christina. She is from Reptacular Ranch.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I asked her today, just earlier, before I did my own research before I decided to emerge from the bunker to do this.
Obviously,
I asked her a bunch of questions about birds. I asked birds, what are they? What do they want? Are the ones with red eyes, are they albino, or is that an LED light indicating it's recording? Like, what is that? And this here, I'm going to read this quote. This is what she had. This is what she had to say to me about this. This is from Critter Christina. She says, "I love that birds are so intelligent, but it comes at a cost. They are essentially sharp toddlers with knives on their faces. So be careful when interacting with birds, especially parrots. Birds have difficult emotions. They are somewhat unpredictable, but you can often tell what they are about to do through subtle body language. I think we all need to keep a wary eye out for birds, but there are some that are genuinely loving. Trees are definitely docking stations. That's where most birds sleep and recharge, a safe haven from most predators. There are actually birds that are used to take down drones, so they can definitely be used for surveillance. People have attached cameras to them to record flight. So to record your secrets, absolutely. Birds are also our closest living relatives to dinosaurs, so consider that before letting one into your home." Oh my God.
Well, I mean, I would never let one into my home even before realizing that they're our closest living relatives
that I know that they're related
to dinosaurs.
I don't trust them. And here's an expert saying they recharge in trees. These are their docking stations. They are drones and they can take down drones.
Yeah, sounds like she's been a little bit elusive there. We had to read between the lines on a couple things, but
she wouldn't straight out answer the tough questions. So that makes me think that she agrees with me. I know that
there might be some fear there too. There has to be some fear that if she speaks on the truth, what's to say a bird doesn't take care of her. I just did air quotes.
This was through text messaging, but I could tell she was afraid.
Right. So what was your big takeaway with this kind of discussion here? This one of our other experts.
So my biggest takeaway from our other expert is that more research needs to be done. I think that the answers are there. I think people are asking the hard questions, and there's hard answers. And so after she told me that birds have been used as surveillance and that birds can take down other drones, it would raise the question that, like, if they can take down drones, they obviously recognize what a drone is, and they can see that in each other. So they can recognize drones and they can recognize other birds. And so if they can recognize both, that obviously means that they're drones. I mean, that's what that means to me.
So that's a tough pill to swallow.
I actually went to the BBC.com, and it's legitimate because it's English. The headline here says eagles trained to take down drones. So they've actually trained eagles. The Dutch police have trained eagles to take down unauthorized drones, and it comes amid concerns that drones are being used to commit crimes. And so they already know that drones are being used to surveil us, and so they have employed eagles, God bless them, the most patriotic of all birds. They know their duty. They're going to come in, and they are...
even the American birds have to take care of business in other countries.
They know that USA has to come in. I mean, eagles are American birds. You do the math.
So are we saying this is bird on bird action? Are we saying the birds are taking down other bird drones?
I'm saying that it's going deeper than we think. And then later, another website reported, this is from theverge.com, and I see them a lot, so they're reputable because I've heard of them. They say they don't do it anymore because it isn't in the eagle's nature, possibly inhumane and complicated. They said if an eagle gets frustrated, it can't catch prey, it might go after something else like a kid. I call bullshit. I think they know the difference. It's not complicated. They just are shutting it down because they know too much information.
The eagles do?
Everyone does.
Oh, everyone.
Yeah, they all know. It's like they're shutting it down because it was too effective.
Right. I mean, this has been around in one form or another for over 50 years, apparently, according to Dr. Semore. And I ever since, we started this discussion, I've had a burning question kind of in the back of my head. I'm hoping Dr. Semore can elucidate on this, is that how many people do we think have died or been killed directly from these so-called birds? Do we have any numbers on that, Dr. Semore?
That is a very interesting and important question.
Yeah, I thought
that is very hard to investigate because even many of the stories Diane was referring to, great research there, Diane, thank you, really shows how deep the government cover-up of this drone operation is, because they are trying to lead us to believe that an eagle is still actually a bird and it is not itself a drone attacking another drone. And then I believe your second story there was animal rights and the confusion there. It has nothing to do with an animal going rogue. It has to do with a drone that may be inferior to another drone, not able to keep up with it. And all of this is just an elaborate technological cover-up under a guise of maybe evolutionary differences.
So wait a minute. So dinosaurs, were those real?
Yeah. So dinosaurs were real, and birds for much of recorded history have been real. And our older viewers and probably Roger and Diane, during our lifetime, we have seen real birds. Ooh. But there has been a government
that's a relief.
Genocide of actual birds with replacement of birds with the the drone technology, the surveillance technology, to the point where it's only in the most remote of locations at this point that you're going to see an actual bird anymore.
Oh boy. So I need to ask, because we need to do the service for ourselves and for our listeners. How can we tell? How can we tell the difference between a real bird and a drone, a surveillance machine vehicle? How can we protect ourselves, or at least know the difference out there in the world?
I don't know.
Is there a way? Is there a way? Doctor, do you know? Can we tell?
Dr.
Is there any
Semore,
safety?
tell us.
Is there any safe haven in this world?
The safest haven is to assume the worst.
I'm not surprised. This does not upset me. I have been assuming the worst my entire life.
Well, I'm a positive person. I try and maybe think that some of them are real. There might, but a big part of me inside, knew that. I guess knew deep down inside that it's just that you're not going to see a real one.
Ultimately, I don't care. I don't care if the birds are drones. I need to know: are they friend or are they foe? If I meet one, are we going to have some kind of bicentennial man bird human connection where that one goes, okay, you're cool, and then I'm exempt from the surveillance? That's what I want to know. Personally, I welcome our robot overlords. My daily life is not going to change, and I think a lot of people are kind of in the same thing. I don't have anything to hide. Like, what you see is what you get. I will tell you stories about everything that has happened in my life.
Wow, I have so much to hide.
I know you do. Well, that's okay. But friend or foe, let me ask you this. I have not seen a baby bird since I was a kid. That was kind of around the year 2000. Correlation, I'm going to say yeah.
I believe the data does not support a correlation. It supports a causation.
Oh boy!
I don't know what that means, but it sounds legit.
Yes,
exactly,
as it should.
Exactly.
Right around 2000s, when the technology was picking up to the point where most live birds were being eliminated for fear of overcrowding the sky. And the technology was such that the government could replicate the bird birthing and growing process with these drones, such that the need for the actual, well, not the need for actual birds to distract us from the fact that we hadn't seen a baby started to go away.
I need to take a quick break here, but when we come back, I have more questions about this. I mean, one of my biggest questions is what are they doing with the surveillance? I mean, why? What? But we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Real True Facts. This is the first episode ever. I think it's going great. Today we are talking about birds, specifically drones, and the fact that we know that birds are not real. They're actually government-issued drones. And we've been talking with our resident scientist, Dr. Semore. He's coming to us live from the Real True Facts Science Bunker. And I just want to bring it back with a quote from the Audubon. This is the National Society that protects birds and the places they need. They use science, advocacy, education, and on-the-ground conservation. So this is a foundation that is all about birds. And drones made their headlines. So we know this is real. And they say from their website that the CIA assassinated John F. Kennedy after he refused to kill and replace billions of birds with drones. The U.S. government is sequestering a team of Boeing engineers in Area 51 for a secret military mission. Our tax dollars have been funneled into the building of Turkey X-500, a robot used to hunt large birds. So I want to know who is doing this, where are these birds going, and why?
This doesn't surprise me.
The question is, well, I mean, first of all, the Turkey X-500, a robot used to hunt large birds. Where are they taking it after that? Boeing engineers, Area 51, secret military mission. The question is, who's doing this? Why are they doing it? And where is this going?
Yes, wonderful question. So going back to the JFK assassination and probably the 20 to 30 years since, it was definitely government surveillance, focusing on creating a more docile and easier to control U.S. citizens. So getting to know the citizens, but also putting them in a position to be more willing to submit to government suggestion.
So when you say government, are we talking like the DOD or the NSA or even higher up some other organization where we don't even know about? Or where's it coming from if they can get to the highest?
Yes, it is among the highest. It sprinkles, it dabbles in each of those, the DOD, NSA. Depending on the who's in office at the time, the president may or may not have say or even be aware of the program. But over the past 20 years or so, we've really talked about the year 2000 being a turning point. That was where the funding at the government level was really struggling and running out, and where big corporations stepped in a lot. So it's really just an extension of the
military industrial complex.
Yes. Some big players in it, unexpectedly. We don't even necessarily consider military or industrial. They're just big commerce. Your Starbucks, your Walmarts, your Adidas, just trying to make a dollar. And the government is just kind of skimming off the research. And at this point, the scary thing is that we don't know what they're doing with it. Initially, it was very clear what the intent of the program was. But once we started to money come in, so it was less taxpayer funded and more commercially sponsored, the secret project became even more secret.
Yeah, my final question ultimately is the most simple but also the most complicated question is just why?
Yeah, it seems so innocent at this point, and that seems like a silly word to use when talking about surveillance being controlled by the government and in cahoots with corporation. But at this point, it honestly seems so much less even about the controlling the U.S. citizen as with understanding the U.S. consumer. And that is where my fear comes in, is when that shift seems to have happened, when that's where all of the data is pointing, there is an arrow somewhere else pointing towards the real intent or the real plan.
I think most things start out pretty innocent. It's like they did the Turkey X-500. It was a robot that they needed to hunt large birds with. So they saw a threat, they saw something, and they thought, what's the most dangerous game? It's obviously a bird. And so a bird needs to hunt a bird. We can't do it. They're too dangerous. But if you bring in one of their own, they have the skills and the drive and the technique. They know how to take out each other. That's why when you see like two birds fighting, that's an even match. You know,
insider knowledge, if you will.
That's not even. Yeah, the bird will always overpower a human. Take hummingbirds, for example. You can't see their wings. They move so quickly. Can you imagine what that would do if that hit you?
You would die
in the eye
probably.
Or something like that. So you would immediate death. That eyes are connected to your brain, and if you get your eye injured, that's instant
why no
brain
one has
death.
hummingbirds as pets.
Yeah, no, they don't. No one has a hummingbird as a pet. That's not something that
because they're so deep.
I actually have a hummingbird in the bunker. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's dangerous. Oh man.
Yeah.
So it all starts, like you were saying, everything was meant to be innocent. The assassination of JFK, it really, there were good intentions, and it just went off the rails.
Yeah, it was good. Just like with me, you try to understand your enemy, and it's just they eat so much sugar, they just, it's just constant sugar, water. And then I drink it too.
I can only imagine that makes them jealous, and that can't be a good thing.
Yeah.
Diane, you really need to take a look at this. And it's obviously been surveilling you, but now we don't even know if it's got its sights set on something, even more dangerous.
So that's why I said I wasn't afraid earlier when I said that I welcome the robot overlords. I said that because it was looking at me. I don't actually believe that. I'm actually really afraid. I don't know why I have this bird in here. I thought that I could control it and I could learn more from it, but I just don't understand. I can't read it. It has no emotions. I can't read it.
Maybe we should turn this into something positive for our listeners. Maybe we can give them some tips or I don't know, some practical advice for navigating the world of pet hummingbirds and surveillance eagles and just all those other flying menaces out there.
Yeah, because I'm absolutely terrified. What do you do if you see a bird, Doctor?
As silly as this sounds, after our extensive conversation about proving and supporting the fact that they are, in fact, robots, technology, and drones, is you treat them like animals.
Interesting.
That is what the government wants us to believe that they are. And when we do treat them as animals, that's when we are protecting ourselves, also protecting the drones themselves. It's only when they have been found out that they are in a fight or flight situation where they are either in a self-harm or more likely an attack of a human as their only option to continue the cover-up. So treat them.
Yeah, we don't want them to know that we know. That we know. Right. And I can see that. Okay, so that's a good first step. Act, even though don't let them know that you know. Okay, so let's say you see one of these things out in the wild or wherever, and it glitches out and does attack you. What are the best defense? We have bears. Bears you yell and throw things at, and skunks you lie down on the ground with your face down and stay perfectly still. We all have these kind of different ways to deal with animal attacks. What do you do when it's actually not an animal?
This is where we do go back to an earlier important statement from one of my esteemed colleagues, who is also an animal expert, that reminds us that birds are the closest relatives of dinosaurs. Birds have dominion in the sky where we are not welcome. So it's a tough situation. Birds can attack us in ways that we are not made to defend ourselves. So your best bet, you get down low, not unlike you suggested with the skunk. You get inside, while I think it goes without saying, but let's say it, while keeping the bird outside.
Shit.
That's where you messed up, Diane. I know it's hindsight is 20/20, but that's where you really screwed up. You went inside, right? That was correct. but you miss the second step. The bird is also inside. And, I think that's probably one of the best pieces of advice, that birds have dominion over the sky. So get somewhere where there isn't a sky, where they can't reach you from the sky, get inside. But most importantly, don't let the bird inside with you, Diane.
Yeah, well, I know that now. So yeah, I guess just going forward, I'll look up.
In the future, you'll do that in the future. Any last bits of advice, Doctor? We appreciate your time, and
yes, thank you so much for emerging from the science bunker to join us today. Any
final words or pieces of advice in these tough times with regarding birds?
No.
Great. So let's. I think it's time for viewer mail, right?
Yeah, let's take some listener mail. I got it right here. Let me.
Oh, that's my favorite part of every episode is viewer mail, because we get to relax our brains a little bit after all this, relentless truth finding and fact hunting.
Yeah, this is great. This is my favorite part. I got it right here. Let me just put down my letter opener.
Wow. We have such devout fans. They still write letters.
And this one's really brightly colored, very multicolored, really beautiful.
Great.
I almost want to say like magazine cutouts. But
that's creative.
It's super creative. I love arts and crafts. So this is from Dylan S. Hi, Dylan S. Thank you for writing in. And Dylan S. wants to know, what is a shadow? We can only cast one. Yeah, what is a shadow? He says, we can only cast one when we are blocking light. So is it the absence of something? But the natural state of the universe is darkness. So are we really just adding things around it? It can attach itself to us, but we can never really interact with it. Why can't we interact with it?
Ooh, wow.
Dylan S. wants to know. Thank you, Dylan S., for writing in. That was a really elaborate, hand-picked letter.
Until we get some answers, I would recommend that for now you just try and stay away from shadows as much as possible.
I mean, this is an overall theme. We're staying away from the sky. Don't block light. No light, no shadows. What we don't know might hurt us.
What we don't know will definitely kill us or maim us.
Yeah, so that's what we need to do until next week, until we can actually unpack what a shadow really is, where it's coming from, and why we can't interact with it. Just stay away.
Just be safe. And if you want to write in, it's best to email us. Correct? Is that correct? We have an email.
Yes, it is. Yeah, this was a handwritten letter because it was the first show. But if you have a question, comment, complaint, whatever, you can email the Real True Facts team at realtruefactsmail. That's realtruefactsmail at gmail.com, and we will read your questions and try to answer them.
realtruefactsmail at gmail.com, and it's spelled just like it sounds. REALTRUEFACTSMAIL at gmail.com. Great.
That's it. So write to us. We will get to your questions. Next week we're going to talk about shadows. We're going to venture down into the science bunker yet again to figure out why we can't interact with them. What are they? Why are they here? That's all we're trying to figure out. So I want to give a special thank you, first of all, to Christina from Reptacular Ranch. You can give them a follow at Reptacular Animals on Instagram. They actually do some really great things with animals and the community, even birds. Also, thank you to Dr. Semore down in the lab, and thank you to our listeners. Keep questioning everything and research your real true facts, because just because you hear it and read it doesn't mean it's true.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.